Hey y'all, my name is Chris and I wanted to just introduce myself and just kind of explain why I started this channel. I started playing guitar when I was 13 and my dad showed me a couple chords and I was hooked ever since. And the guitar is, in my opinion, one of the easiest instruments to learn. As long as you keep at it and keep practicing, you'll pick it up in no time. The hardest part for me was getting my fingers calloused to the strings. It takes a couple weeks, but once they get calloused, it is a breeze from there. But I hope these tutorials help, and if you have any questions or anything, any suggestions that you could give, I'm totally open to that. So yeah, let's get started. So the guitar, let's start at the head. This is where you tune your strings. So your tuning, standard tuning, is E, A, D, G, B, E. So E, you always want to make sure your guitar is tuned first. So my guitar doesn't have a tuner installed in it, so I had to get a separate tuner. They're pretty cheap, maybe like 15, 20 bucks for a decent one. So when you turn it on, you'll just hit your string and you just tune it where it lines up. So this one's E. Next one's gonna be A. Then D. G, B, then E again. So your strings are in order from, I know it doesn't really make sense, for your bottom E, that higher pitched one, this is actually your first string. So it goes first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So top, bottom, top, bottom. So this is your fretboard. My guitar has 21 frets. Some guitars range and differ. It doesn't really make a difference. It just depends on if you like to play in your higher scales. Which we'll get into that later on. But these are your frets, numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. This is the body of your guitar. So the shape of the guitar is actually kind of in the shape of a human. So this is your body, your neck, and your head. When you play guitar, personally, I love to play sitting down on a stool. It's comfortable for me. I also like standing up from time to time, but in my comfortable spot, I love to sit down. If you're sitting down playing the guitar, you want to make sure you're sitting up nice and straight. You want to have the body of your guitar kind of nestled on your lap, but also against the torso here. So you want to have it nice and flush, because if it's tighter against your body, you're going to get a nice echo sound. My guitar is hooked up, so it kind of is a little bit louder, but if you're just playing regular acoustic, you're going to have a nice tone to it if you have it nestled against your torso there. So yeah, so we got our guitar tuned. We understand like what the body is. This is the bridge. This is where your strings will come through to attach to the neck, to the head and everything, and make sure your guitar is tuned, and then we'll go from there. So I'm gonna give you 3 basic chords. A lot of songs really only need 3 or 4 chords, believe it or not, and you can use those chords throughout hundreds of songs. The very first chord I learned was the G chord. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our ring finger, we're going to place it on the first string in the 3rd fret. So 1, 2, 3. First string is down here, ring finger. And if you're just starting out and your fingers aren't calloused yet, it's gonna hurt a little bit, but I promise you, the more you practice, the easier it'll get. What you want to do is you also, when you place your finger in the fret, you want to get it as close as you can to the fret in front of you, because if you have it towards the back, it's going to kind of give you that twang sound. If you have it towards the front, you get that clear tone. Whenever you're working on your chords and transitioning, you always want to try to get as close as you can to the front of that fret. Okay, so we have our ring finger on the very first string in the 3rd fret. We're going to take our index finger in the 2nd fret. We're going to place it on the 5th string. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to place it close to the fret there because we're going to get that nice clear tone. Our ring finger is still on the 1st string in the 3rd fret. And then we're going to place our middle finger in the 3rd fret on the 6th string. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the 3rd fret, we're going to place our middle finger. Ring finger still on the 1st string, the 3rd fret. Index finger is still in the 2nd fret on the 5th string. Middle finger in the 3rd fret on the 6th string. And if your fingers are close to the fret, they're going to sound like this. When I first started out, I didn't start strumming right away. I wanted to make sure I was getting the chord down as best as I could. So I would do each string individually. And the best practice really is to take your hand off completely and put it back on. Take it off, put it back on. Take it off, put it back on. Okay, so that is the G chord. Next, we're going to learn the D chord. D is, it's a little more difficult because your fingers are going to kind of be scrunched at the bottom of the neckline here. But the more you practice, I'm sure you'll get it down in no time. So our ring finger is going to go to the 2nd string in the 3rd fret. So we're going to go from G to D. Our ring finger is going to stay in the same fret. We're just going to move it up one. Move it up to the 2nd string. So for the 1st to the 2nd, moving it from the 1st to the 2nd. In that 3rd fret. We're going to take our middle finger. We're going to move it to the 2nd fret. So we went from the 3rd fret on the 6th string. Now we're going to move it down to the 2nd fret on the 1st string. And you always want to make sure you get your fingers as close as you can to that fretboard so you get a nice clear tone. So we move the ring finger from the 1st string to the 2nd string in the 3rd fret. We're going to move our middle finger from the 6th string in the 3rd fret to the 2nd fret on the 1st string. Now our index finger, we're going to scrunch it right up against the middle finger on the 3rd string in the 2nd fret. So we're moving our index finger from the 2nd fret on the 5th string, and we're just going to move it down to the 3rd string in the same fret, in the 2nd fret. So our ring fingers in the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, middle fingers in the 2nd fret on the 1st string, index finger on the 3rd string in the 2nd fret. And if you have your fingers close enough to the fretboard, it's going to sound like this. So, when you're playing some chords, you're not going to play all the strings. Some of them you're going to mute. And what I mean by mute is you can either palm mute it, where if you're playing without a pick, which a lot of times I do, I just like the clear tone of the guitar. You can mute it with your palm by laying it up against the strings here. So when you play the D chord, you typically only play the top 4 strings. So the E, because if you play the bottom 2, you're going to get this sound. If you strum it all the way through. So those bottom 2 notes don't really match. Typically when I play the D chord, I'll take my thumb and I'll mute the bottom string in the 2nd fret. So it mutes it a little bit easier, and you can still kind of get that full chord sound without getting that kind of muffled, mix. So it's up to you, it's your preference, but that's how I typically play my D chord. I'll put my thumb on the top in the 2nd fret, and again, you can still kind of get that full chord sound. So we played our G chord, which was ring finger, 3rd fret, 1st string, index finger, 2nd fret, 5th string, middle finger, 3rd fret, 6th string. Then we moved to the D chord, which was ring finger, 3rd fret, 2nd string, middle finger, 2nd fret, 1st string, index finger, 2nd fret, 3rd string. And then if you want to use your thumb, now we're going to move to the C chord. So we have our D, now we're going to play the C. C is a lot easier to play. It stretches your fingers a little bit, and the more you stretch and the more you transition, it's going to be easier to start picking up where the muscle memory is going to start and everything. So for the C chord, you're going to use your index finger in the very 1st fret on the 2nd string. So 1st fret, 2nd string is where your index finger goes. Middle finger goes to the 2nd fret, 4th string. So we have 2nd fret, 4th string for the middle finger. Index finger still on the 2nd string in the 1st fret. Sorry. And your ring finger is going to go in the 3rd fret on the 5th string. Take some time to get that clear sound, but I promise the more you practice, the clearer you'll get. And like with the D chord, you had those strings that didn't really match. Those notes that didn't match. Your bottom E isn't really going to match either. So you can mute it with your thumb and kind of get that full chord sound. Okay, so those are 3 chords. You have the G, D, C. Now, when you practice, because you're gonna want to first practice the finger placement and just getting down where your fingers are going to go. Then, when you get that down, you feel pretty confident, then start a strum pattern. So the strum pattern that I would start with when I started learning, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold that last one for another measure. and just keep doing that over and over and over again. And it's repetitious, I know, but I promise the more you do it, that muscle memory is going to start kicking in. And then if you want to, you also go backwards. Whichever you prefer, but those 3 chords, if you get those down, I promise, you can play so many songs with that. I'll throw this one in too as well, the E minor chord. So these are the 4 like main chords that you can use. So we have G, D, C. Now we're going to add our E minor chord, which is middle finger, 2nd fret on the 5th string, ring finger on the 4th string in the 2nd fret. And the chord sounds like this. So G, D, E minor, C. There you have it. I'll give more chords later on. We'll do different combinations and everything. But that is G, that's the G key if you wanted to play in that song. Sorry, in that key. I don't know why I'm having a hard time talking today. So yeah, just have fun with it, practice. And if you have any suggestions or comments, please add them to it, and I will most definitely look into it. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye!